All hell was breaking loose. To my left, a young pregnant woman was openly crying, her shoulders shaking with betrayed hope. To my right, a kid who couldn't have been more than 19 was on his feet, pointing a trembling finger and screaming, "Go fuck yourself." The man in the cheap, ill-fitting suit who'd called us all here was staring directly at me, his face a contorted mask of pure, unadulterated panic. His eyes dart around the room, looking for an ally, for an escape. He thought he was the predator here today. He thought he'd found a room full of easy marks. But he'd made one critical mistake. He'd invited me. If you know that gut-sinking feeling when something is just plain wrong, and you absolutely love a story where the schemer gets out-schemed, do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button right now, and give this video a like. You are not going to want to miss a single satisfying detail of how this con artist personally handed me the shovel to bury his entire operation. Let's dive in. This all went down about 7 years ago. I was in my early 20s, in that strange limbo of life where you're an adult, but you're still figuring things out. I was on the verge of a massive life change. I was trying to enlist in the military and was under the impression that I was just 4 months away from shipping out to boot camp. My savings were beginning to look less like a cushion and more like a flat sheet. I didn't need a career. I just needed a simple part-time job to get some cash in my pocket to tide me over. So, I did what any enterprising person in my position would do. I waded into the murky, unpredictable waters of Craigslist. Now, I have to be honest, I despise sales jobs, especially the ones that dangle the carrot of unlimited earning potential through commission. It's usually code for "you will make no money." But for a short-term gig, I figured, what the heck? I could probably tough it out for a few months. It might even be a great way to earn some quick cash. I fired off a few applications to listings that looked halfway decent. A few days later, my phone buzzed. The caller ID was an unknown number, but I answered anyway. "Hello?" A man's voice, overly enthusiastic, practically bounced through the speaker. "Hi? Is this Alex?" "This is," I said, cautiously. "Alex, David here, from Apex Marketing Solutions. I got your application. Your resume looks fantastic, my friend. Absolutely fantastic. Listen, I'm opening up a brand new retail store, and I'm in need of some top-tier associates. You look like you fit the bill. Are you available for an interview this Friday morning?" My internal alarms were quiet, but they were definitely awake. His energy was a little much, but I needed a job. I was upfront with him. "David, thanks for the call. I just want to let you know. The location you listed is a bit of a drive for me, more than I'd normally do for a retail position. Before I commit to the drive, could you tell me what you're offering for an hourly rate?" He didn't miss a beat. Of course. We value our people. We're planning on offering an hourly rate of around $16, plus a very generous commission structure on top of that. $16 an hour plus commission? For a short-term gig, that was more than okay. It was actually good. It made the long drive seem worth it. "All right, David," I said. "You've got my attention. Friday morning works for me." "What time?" "Excellent. Let's say 8 a.m. sharp. Looking forward to meeting you, Alex." And just like that, it was set. I felt a small wave of relief. Maybe this wouldn't be so hard after all. Maybe this was a stroke of luck. Oh, what a fool I was. Friday arrived, and it was one of those miserable, dreary days. The sky was a single, unbroken sheet of gray, and a cold, persistent rain was slicking the roads. It was the kind of weather that makes you want to stay in bed. But I had an interview. I put on a nice shirt and tie, trying to look the part of a top-tier associate, and set out into the snarling mess of morning rush hour traffic. The drive was even worse than I'd anticipated. Red taillights snaked for miles. After what felt like an eternity, I finally got off the highway and pulled into the strip mall. David had given me the address for. I knew the area from a previous job, so I recognized it. But as I slowly cruised past the storefronts, something was wrong. I was looking for a sign, any sign, for Apex Marketing Solutions. I saw a nail salon, a pizza place, a dry cleaner, but nothing. Then I saw it. There was one empty retail space. The windows were dark and vacant, with no branding, no grand opening banners, nothing. Just a bare, hollow-looking room. There were two people inside, but from my car, I couldn't make them out clearly. Okay, I thought, maybe they're brand new, literally. Maybe they haven't even had time to get the signage up yet. No big deal. I had arrived about 15 minutes early, specifically because I knew how bad the traffic could be. So I sat in my car watching the rain streak down my windshield, and I saw something that pushed my internal warning system from a low hum to a noticeable buzz. A young woman in business casual attire walked to the front window from inside the empty store. She fiddled with something for a moment, and then peeled a large vinyl sign off the glass. Even through the rain, I could read the words as she crumpled it up. Retail space for rent. Call 1-800. Okay, that's not just weird. That's really weird. You don't take down the for rent sign on the morning of a group interview. You take it down after you've signed the lease, gotten the keys, and are ready to start moving in. My gut was telling me something was off, but I'd just driven for over an hour in miserable traffic. I wasn't about to turn around now. Might as well see what this was all about. I waited until it was about 5 minutes to 8 a.m., took a deep breath, and walked in. The moment I stepped through the door, my BS meter didn't just go to yellow or orange. It went straight past red and into a special category I reserve for the most audacious nonsense. Black Watch Plaid. The room was cavernous and empty, echoing with every footstep. The only furniture was a collection of cheap plastic folding tables, the kind you buy at Target for $20 to play beer pong on in college before throwing them out at the end of the semester. The walls were completely bare, except for a series of laminated charts that had been hastily taped up. They were a visual assault of generic motivational garbage, stock photos of ridiculously happy, diverse people high-fiving, giant, gleaming dollar signs. And then, there it was. The centerpiece, an organizational chart. And it was shaped into a design that is universally terrifyingly familiar. A pyramid. A giant, multi-leveled, you recruit your friends and family pyramid. God damn it. My first instinct was to turn around and walk right back out. But then a second thought occurred to me. I'd already wasted the gas and the time. The traffic going home was going to be just as bad now as it would be in an hour. So, why not stay? Why not have a little fun? I decided to stick around, just to see the train wreck up close. To wait out the traffic and collect a story. A young woman in a black dress, the same one who had taken down the sign, approached me with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Hi, welcome to Apex Marketing Solutions. You must be Alex. That's me, I said, giving her a polite but skeptical smile of my own. I'm Cindy, she said. Please, have a seat. She gestured to one of the folding chairs. She then sat down at her own desk, another sad, wobbly plastic table, and began pretending to do paperwork. I say pretending, because she wasn't actually reading or writing anything. She was just shuffling a small stack of papers from one side of the table to the other, then back again like a magician practicing a card trick. We made some small talk. To test the waters, I asked her, "So, how long have you worked for David?" She lit up. "Oh, I've been his secretary for about 6 months now. He's a wonderful boss. You're going to love it here. He's so successful." 6 months. Huh. Interesting. Just then, a man walked out of a back office. He was in his early 30s, clean cut, and wearing a suit that was clearly from the discount rack at Kohl's. The shoulders were a little too wide, the sleeves a little too long. It was the kind of suit you wear when you want to look like you have money, but you absolutely do not. He was walking towards me, a huge beaming smile plastered on his face, when Cindy chirped, "Oh, Dennis, our newest recruit is here." The man stopped dead in his tracks. The smile vanished, replaced by an ice-cold stare directed right at Cindy. In a low, sharp voice, he hissed, "It's David, Cindy. We've been over this." His head then snapped back towards me, and the phony 1,000-watt smile instantly reappeared. He let out a forced chuckle, hard to find good help these days. "Am I right?" he said, extending a hand. David, great to finally meet you. David, not Dennis. Got it. So his secretary of 6 months doesn't even know his name. The BS meter was now screaming, its needle bent permanently into the plaid. David told me they were going to start with a group interview and had me take a seat in a small circle of chairs they'd set up. Over the next 10 minutes, more people trickled in. They all had the same look on their faces, a mixture of hope and desperation. There was the young kid, maybe just out of high school, an older gentleman who looked like he might have been recently laid off, and then there was the pregnant young woman. She had a hopeful glow about her, and you could just tell she saw this as a real lifeline. Seeing her made my stomach turn. These weren't just job applicants, they were targets. Once the circle was full, David stood up, clasping his hands together like a preacher, about to deliver a sermon. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming in today. He began, his voice booming in the empty room. I know it was a tough drive for some of you, but I promise you, it is going to be worth it. What I am about to offer you is not just a job. It is an opportunity to join an exciting new venture with a company called Cut. He dramatically paused, as if waiting for applause. He got nothing but blank stares. Undeterred, he reached under his table and pulled out a knife block full of gleaming, serrated knives. He held them up for all to see. With my company, and with these incredible products, you can make as much money as you want, all while setting your own hours, he declared. He looked right at the pregnant woman. You can work around your doctor's appointments. Work from home when the baby comes. Complete freedom. Her face lit up with relief and excitement. My heart sank. David was on a roll now, pacing back and forth. Heck, people make fortunes doing this. Hard workers, people with drive, they rise to the top so quickly. It's a proven system. It's so revolutionary. It's even been featured in college textbooks. This was his big moment. He triumphantly held up a thick, heavy-looking business textbook, Contemporary Business Strategies, 4th edition. He fumbled with it for a second, then opened it to a page he had clearly earmarked. He held it out for the group to see, but his hand was strategically covering most of the text. He just made sure one word was clearly visible, printed in large, bold letters on the page. Cutco. I have to admit, it was a slick move. And sadly, it was working. I could see the other interviewees nodding, their skepticism melting away. They were impressed. They were buying it. The pregnant girl looked like she was on the verge of happy tears. David was basking in their awe. I just need to take a quick important phone call, he said, his voice dripping with self-importance. I'll be right back. Please feel free to grab some coffee, get to know each other. I'll be back in 5 minutes to discuss the next steps. As he walked away towards the back office, he made a fatal error, a rookie mistake. He left the textbook on the table. Oops. The moment he was out of sight, a silence fell over the group. I didn't hesitate. I leaned forward, picked up the textbook, and flipped to the earmarked page. My eyes scanned the text, and a cold, grim smile spread across my face. Just as I thought. The chapter wasn't praising Cutco. The chapter was titled Multi-Level Marketing and Modern Pyramid Schemes. And it used Cutco as one of its primary textbook examples of a predatory business model. The paragraph David had so cleverly hidden with his hand went on to explain, in dry, academic detail, how these companies are essentially scams, how they prey on the desperate, and how they are almost never economically viable for the people at the bottom, which was, of course, all of. I looked up from the book. The other interviewees were chatting quietly, talking about what they'd do with the money, how great it would be to set their own hours. The pregnant woman was talking about buying things for her baby, and I felt a surge of cold anger. This wasn't funny anymore. This guy, this phony in a cheap suit, was about to ruin these people's lives. He was selling them a lie, and they were desperate enough to buy it. I couldn't just walk away. I cleared my throat. Hey, everyone! The conversation stopped. All eyes turned to me. I held up the book. You should probably read what this page actually says, I said, my voice low and steady. I proceeded to read the entire paragraph out loud. The one about pyramid schemes. The one that labeled Cutco as a prime example. The one that talked about scams and economic non-viability. As I read, the atmosphere in the room shifted. The hopeful energy evaporated, replaced by a thick, confused silence. They looked from me to the book, to each other. They seemed incredulous, not wanting to believe it. The dream was too good to let go of. He's just trying to scam us, I said plainly. He's going to get us to buy a bunch of knives and then we'll be stuck with them. They still looked uncertain. I could see the cognitive dissonance warring on their faces. So I gave them the key. The one question that shatters every pyramid scheme illusion. Look, I said, when he gets back, just ask him one question. Ask him what you need to pay to get started. If it's a real job, the answer should be nothing. Let's see what he says. That did it. The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place for everyone. The doubt on their faces hardened into dawning horror, and then into anger. We sat there in silence, a jury waiting for the defendant to walk back into the courtroom. A few minutes later, David strode back in, that same phony smile back on his face. All right, everyone. Sorry about that. Now where were we? Who's ready to start their journey to financial freedom? Before he could continue his spiel, the pregnant girl, her voice trembling but firm, spoke up. What do we need to get started? Is there a David's smile didn't falter. He was prepared for this question. It was part of the script. Well, that's the best part. All you need is your very own demonstration kit of these incredible knives. You can sell that first set directly to a customer, or just have them order a new one and you keep that one as your demo kit. It doesn't matter. You just have to pay the startup fees for the kit to get the ball rolling. And that's when the dam broke. The young kid shot to his feet. Are you kidding me? You wasted all our time driving out here for this crap? You're trying to get us to pay you for a job? Go fuck yourself. You asshole. The pregnant girl just burst into tears. I really thought this was real, she sobbed. How could you do this? David was completely flustered. His brain was short-circuiting. This was not in the script. He looked around wildly, his face turning a blotchy red. Whoa, what's going on? Who told you all this? Every head in the room slowly turned and looked at me. I just gave him a little wave. His eyes locked onto mine, and the confusion in his face curdled into pure rage. You, he snarled, pointing a finger at me. You need to leave. Right now. Get out. People were yelling at David. David was yelling at me. In the corner, Cindy, the secretary of 6 months, was frantically trying to distance herself from the whole thing, yelling, I never met him before today. I didn't know this was all bullshit. He just paid me to be here. It was chaos. We all just got up and started walking out. A small, angry mob leaving David standing alone amidst his cheap, folding tables and laminated lie. As I was walking towards the door, my eyes caught something leaning against the wall, near the entrance. It was the vinyl sign she'd taken down earlier. Retail space for rent. Call 1-800. A beautiful, terrible idea began to form in my mind. I got into my car, the angry shouts from the room still echoing in the parking lot. I pulled out my phone and dialed the number on the sign. After a few rings, a pleasant-sounding woman answered. Good morning, property management. This is Linda speaking. Hi, Linda, I said, keeping my voice calm and professional. I'm calling about the retail property for rent at this address. I saw the sign. Oh, I'm so sorry, she said, and I could hear her typing. It looks like we actually just leased that property out this morning. The tenant is there now, in fact. My heart beat a little faster. Ah, that's a shame. I was really interested, I said, feigning disappointment. Do you happen to know how long the lease is for? Is it a long-term thing? I'm not sure, she replied. We haven't done the official paperwork yet. They've put down a deposit to hold the space, and my colleague is actually on his way over there in a few hours to sign the official lease with the gentleman. Bingo. Linda, I said, my tone shifting. I need to tell you something. I was just in that space. The man who is holding it, a guy named David, is not opening a retail store. He rented it for the day to run a group job interview that turned out to be a front for a Cutco pyramid scheme. I was one of about 10 people he tried to scam. There was a dead silence on the other end of the line. Then, Linda let out a heavy sigh, full of frustration. Oh, for heaven's sake, not again. This stuff happens all the time in this industry. They use a space for some fly-by-night operation. And then right before we go to sign the official lease, they back out, having already gotten what they wanted. It's a violation of the hold agreement. She sounded genuinely angry. Thank you so much for this information. I am going to call my colleague right now and tell him to hold off. I really appreciate the heads up. I hung up the phone, a slow, satisfied smile spreading across my face. I thought that was it. A good deed done. A scammer's day. Ruined. A nice little slice of petty revenge. Or so I thought. The universe wasn't done with David just yet. About 2 weeks later, an email landed in my inbox. The sender's name was David. My smile returned. I clicked it open. It was a masterpiece of rage and delusion. A long, rambling, typo-filled manifesto about how I, a single, terrible human being, had single-handedly ruined his life. He wrote about how the property management company had found out what he was doing and had canceled the lease signing. Better yet, because he had violated a clause in the property hold paperwork he'd signed, the one about not running a business before the lease was finalized. They weren't refunding his down payment. He knew it was me who called. He accused me of being a saboteur, a monster. He wrote that he was out thousands of dollars for the space and for the supplies. He claimed he was only trying to give people like us jobs, to help us, to offer us an opportunity. The email was dripping with venom and ended with several creative, increasingly unhinged insults, including calling me a sabotaging gremlin and wishing a plague of eternal paper cuts upon my entire family line. I read the email once. Then I read it again, savoring every word. He was out thousands. He had admitted, in writing, to exactly what he was doing. It was a signed confession, delivered directly to my inbox. I leaned back in my chair and thought for a moment. What would a helper do? I picked up my phone and dialed 1-800-55-RENT. One last time. I got Linda on the phone again. Linda, it's Alex. The guy who called a few weeks ago about the scammer in your property. Alex, I remember you, she said warmly. You saved us a huge headache. We're in the middle of a legal dispute with that man over his deposit. Well, Linda, I said, barely able to contain my grin. I think I might have something that could help you with that. Would you be interested in an email from David where he essentially admits, in great detail, to everything he was trying to do? There was another pause on the line. This one was filled with delighted shock. Are you serious? She asked. Deadly, I replied. Please, forward it to me. Immediately. I'll send it straight to our lawyer. He'll be thrilled. And you know what? I was more than happy to send that email along. A few clicks, a quick note that said, hope this helps, and it was on its way. Linda emailed me back later that day. Her lawyer had received it and said it was the smoking gun. He said it should be an open and shut case at that point. David didn't just hand me the shovel. He dug the hole, wrote his own epitaph, and jumped right in. All I did was kick a little dirt on top. Some people are scammers. Some people are predators. Me? I just like to think I'm a helper. It's funny how things work out. A single phone call, a forwarded email. It doesn't take a grand, elaborate plan to see justice done. Sometimes, all it takes is trusting your gut, speaking up when something is wrong, and giving a predator just enough rope to hang himself. David wanted to build a pyramid, but he forgot that all pyramids eventually crumble to dust. What's the most blatant scam you've ever come across in your life? I'd love to read about it. Let me know your story in the comments below. And if you enjoyed watching a con artist get his perfect comeuppance, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who appreciates a story where justice isn't just served. It's delivered with a legally binding confirmation email. Thanks for listening.